I'm here with Mariyana Spyropoulos, the commissioner at Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Chicago, of Greater Chicago, really. Mariyana, it is a pleasure to have the opportunity to spend time with you, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Thanks. So could you start by telling us a little about your background and how you got into water, and then on the back end of that, describe your role as the commissioner at MWRD.
Well, it's an interesting path that I've taken. I'm the daughter of immigrants who came to the States, like so many other immigrants, to make a better life for their family. And I, worked. My father started a small business, and I worked in that business in various capacities, like stuffing envelopes or running errands. So I learned the value of hard work that way. And there was always this message in the background. My dad used to work 6 days a week, and he would come home tired, but he would always say, try to give back. The country's given us so much. The community's been so supportive, and he was always supportive of the community, so try to give back. So I thought public service was the way to go. Now, in addition to that, I live in Chicago, and for, anybody that's listening, you know that Chicago is uniquely positioned next to 20% of the world's fresh water supply, right in our backyard. And it's something that has always been there. I think that we take it for granted in our community, but I always knew that this was something that was basically a treasure that we should protect. And the Water Reclamation District as an agency is a uniquely positioned agency that what it does can affect our water supply, but was created in order to protect our water environment. So our agency is very becoming very active in that regard. When I started 10 years ago, I think that the environment was such that again, people took things for granted. There wasn't necessarily a proactive approach to things, but that has definitely changed.
So what do you see in recent time, the impact that the Water Reclamation District has had in water, wastewater, the lake? Pick your place.
In terms of initiatives that we've taken?
Yes.
So, back in, I would say about 2011, one of the large issues was, should we disinfect the effluent that comes out of our treatment plant? And for your listeners, what comes out of a water reclamation plant is not necessarily drinkable water, but it's considered effluent. And our water, our effluent from our plants, discharges into Chicago area waterways. So there was a huge debate with regards to costs, with regards to how long it would take to effectuate. But basically, the EPA stepped in and indicated that we needed to treat our water to a higher standard, to at least a swimmable standard, not a drinkable standard yet, but a swimmable standard. And therefore, we needed to disinfect the water with UV rays from our north side plant and with chlorination, dechlorination from our south side plant. Now we have several other plants, and we do operate one of the largest treatment plants in the world. We don't disinfect from that plant, but I think that will be coming down the pipeline. I'm not sure when, but there's talk that may be something that we will have to approach. So there was resistance to doing that. There was a lot of discussion that it was going to cost billions and billions of dollars to do this. And at the end of the day, it did not cost that much. And we have contributed to the increase in the fish species that exist in the Chicago River because of our efforts. Now, we can't take sole credit for that, but certainly what we do has contributed to the increase in fish supply. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. We certainly believe, and we're right along with you, that it's one group, one effort. It takes a combination. And certainly sounds like the leadership is there with yourself and the Water Reclamation District to lead the charge. So what do you see, our foundation at Global Waterworks is in technology. What do you see as the value of technology in managing stormwater and wastewater?
Well, just to sort of tie in your last question with this question, I mean, technology is huge. So we're also shifting to become much more sustainable. We're doing some things now, but there's more that we can do. So for example, I talked about effluent. How do we use that effluent in place of drinking water? So instead of using drinking water for construction or manufacturing, why not use the effluent? We're capturing methane gas from our process, converting it into energy. We're creating phosphorus from our biosolids. We're working on an algae project where we take the algae from the treatment process and maybe converting it to plastics. So there's a lot of different things, and that's dependent on technology and process, much more efficient. We have a great process in place that's been there for decades, but we have to keep up with the times. We have to make sure that the tax dollars that we're dependent on are being used efficiently and that we can do more with that money.
What kind of thing, when you talk to people in your community and your constituency, and you have certainly a large role here as a commissioner, what kind of things do you talk to them about when it comes to water?
So as you mentioned before, stormwater management is huge. That is something that people feel the effects literally, because it sometimes enters their home. We see more intense rainstorms. We see these storms inundating our systems. As you see, these tragic photos from all over the place where there's flooding and people's homes and businesses and livestock are just inundated with this water. And so we have to find somewhere for it to go. So we have what we call a tunnel and reservoir plan, also known as the deep tunnel. And it's literally a tunnel and 3 reservoirs that will hold essentially 22 billion gallons of storm water, which sounds like a lot of water, but 1 inch in our county is 14 billion gallons. So we have to find on a very local level, how can we help communities and homeowners with this challenge that we're facing? Because we're not going to we can't stop Mother Nature, but what we can do is try to mitigate her effects on our livelihood and on our homes and on our loved ones. So what we're doing is we've got the deep tunnel, as I mentioned. We've got green infrastructure in localized communities. And then on a homeowner level, we're seeking to help homeowners with basically green infrastructure, as well as overhead plumbing and check valves. And that's something we're exploring right now, and how we can help homeowners on a very localized level.
That's great. So you've been in the Global Waterworks community. You've had some conversations with Mary. What do you see as the value of Global Waterworks in your efforts?
Well, I think Global Waterworks is key. I'd love to see it as sort of the hub for so many organizations and individuals and government agencies and universities to connect through with all their interest on water. There are so many organizations just here in the Chicagoland area that I know of. And I know from chairing the WWM Water Conference, which was an organization. That's how I met Mary. In February this year, we did a virtual water conference, and basically it brought people from all over the world together to talk about water in terms of technology, women in water, agriculture. It was a huge span of industries and sectors. And Global Waterworks, I see as sort of that hub that brings everyone together in terms of being able to share knowledge, to share technology, to share expertise, and to seek that information that you're looking for. So it's going to play a critical role.
Thank you. So, Commissioner, it's government work is, like you say, you're giving back, true dedication, giving back, and certainly we appreciate the service that you do. So when you get, you go through this process and you decide to retire at some point, how would you like to be able to look back on your career as a commissioner in the, in the Metropolitan Water District there?
Well, I'm not ready to retire yet, but
I understand.
thanks for putting me on the spot there. I feel, this is an elected office, so I've run on 3 platforms. And the platforms are fiscal responsibility, transparency, and a progressive environmental policy. And I feel like everything sort of falls in one of those sort of baskets of interest. And at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that I made this agency better, that it serves people better, that it's a better place for the employees, and that we've taken it to that next level in terms of serving the community and the challenges that people who live in the community face.
So do you feel in your second term, as you said earlier, in the time that you've been in the agency, you've seen movement? Have you seen good movement?
Yes, I definitely have. When I started in 2010, I would say that the agency was a little more static. And it's just also reflective of the times, because it's an agency where the commissioners are elected, and those individuals sort of reflect what the general population is sort of feeling. And I think we have a much more proactive board right now, much more proactive in terms of serving the community, getting into the community, partnering with community organizations. There's a big focus on that, and I think that's a good thing. We definitely, have a better read on what people's concerns are if we're there standing with them.
Sure. Mariana, this has been a total pleasure having this conversation with you. You are making an impact. And of course, Mary lives right up in the Chicago area, so she's very familiar, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Have a wonderful rest of the day and holiday season.
Thanks so much, Frank. You do the same. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.